If you're building websites for real estate industry, and if you are using WordPress, the WPResidence API can change the way you work. In this video, you'll discover what the WPResidence API is, how it can power different projects, and why it's such a flexible tool for developers. I'll show you 2 example endpoints, then we'll go hands-on with a real case study, importing RentCast data into a residence website, so you can see the before and after results in action. Let's start with the basics. What exactly is the WPResidence API? The WPResidence API is a tool that lets your website talk to other apps and services. With it, you can import data from other sources, build a mobile app that connects to your listings, sync with third-party tools like CRMs, or even automate custom workflows. Now that you know what it is and what you can do with it, let me show you 2 example routes, and then we'll dive into the RentCast case study where you'll see a real before and after example in action. So, for this video, we'll use Postman, which is the best tool to work on with the APIs. As you can see here on the left, I already have the Residence API collections that has all the API methods you can use. We are talking about list properties. For example, to list properties, add a property, edit, delete, list agent. I think the names are pretty self-explanatory, and for this video, we'll only show 2 or 3 routes. The rest, you'll have to test it yourself and play with it. What you are seeing here is a local environment, but the steps are the same for any other website. Just make sure you go to the settings. You have the API enabled. Let's start with the first route. The first route, the authentication one, basically, you send the username and password, and you get an identification token, a JWT token. First, call the token endpoint with your username and password. Then you'll include the token in authorization bearer header for all the requests that require such thing. Before that, this is a variable. You can change it with your website name. And then I will use my local username and password, send, and the API will reply with an identification token. Copy that, and where do we need that? We need it for the routes that are protective. For example, we need it for the add property route, but we don't need it for the list properties. We don't want anybody to load details on your site or listings on your site, so the route must be protected. However, the other route called the list properties can be public, because if you want to use it, for example in a mobile application, you want the mobile application to be able to read from that. The add property, here is again, we'll put our token, and let's look a little at the data. Video demo property, and let's go over the details. We have the property description. Everything is self-explanatory. We have the taxonomies, category, action category, city, feature, etc. We have meta fields, which are the property price, label, second price, taxation, lot size, etc. Address details, energy section, agent. This is the agent ID, agent secondaries, media section, which is also an important thing because you can add videos, floor plans, if you want to add floor plans, property units. Custom fields, you're familiar with the residence team. You know that we have custom fields that you can add, edit, manage, and do your thing. And images, which is also very important, that needs to be in this format. ID, this is like a org. The ID will not be used internally, and the URL for the images have to be external. The API cannot upload, P. Click send, and right now, the property is added into the website, and we have a status success. We have a property ID 32986. Let's look at the site. This route is very useful when you want to import lots of properties. Another route that may be interesting is the list property one. As I explained, this route is public, meaning that you don't need authorization to that. You have here a set of parameters. For example, the page, how many posts per page, what type of order, taxonomies, property feature taxonomies, meta property price, and you just have to click send. And this is what the response will be, and we have here the query arguments. This is thus not necessary to be used, but to have a recap of what you sent, and we have the data. If you are looking at the details, you will see that we have only 4 fields: ID, title, price, location. If you want to go to have full details, you get full, remove that, and click send. And now you have all the details, including featured media with all the terms and all the custom fields and everything you can wish of. And again, all these details can be found in this documentation. Yeah, so it explains here what you can do. Postman is a tool for discovering and starting preliminary work with API. It's not gonna code for you. However, you have this button here that can show you the code to use for different languages. So use Postman when you are starting to work with an API and you want to discover and see what parameters you need to send and what answer you need to get. Let's do a real-life example. Our goal is to import into WPResidence some data from another site. For this, I will use RentCast API that serve listings data from United States. They have this API route that will return a certain listing in a geographic area or by a specific address. You can see the format here. To do this, I developed a simple plugin. I will put the link in the description so you can download and play with this and see how I did it. We have here some constant. Here you need to put your RentCast API key. Also, the city, the state, and the number of limit for the properties. Your destination URL, which is my and username and password. Again, these are from the local environment and will create an administration page. We have a simple button, and when we click that button, an AJAX will be triggered that will go to rentcast.io API, create all the properties there, and after the properties, after the API response will display the properties so we know what we import. We'll then send the data to a new function we'll import to residence. The function imports to residence. The function imported residence will get first an authentication token. Using the same route I showed you earlier, you send the username and sort, and we'll receive the API response, extract the token, and return it. The function then just prepare the data, the one that we get from RentCast API, and transform the data into a format that it's okay to use by WPResidence. And here, since the RentCast API do not have images, I add some hard-coded images just for the sake of this demo, and then I will just use the remote post function from WordPress to send all those details to the WPResidence API and send. Pretty much, that's it. There is also a small JS function that it's only used to trigger the AJAX request, and some CSS. And all you need to do is click Start Import. The code will start fetching property from RentCast API. Once this is done, it will start importing it into this website. Because we also need to import images, the whole process may take a minute or two, so have a little patience. Now that our import was completed, you can see the listings we have gathered for RentCast API and imported into our WPResidence website. They are here, and these are the properties imported. If you click at it, you will see that they get the title, the description, some details like the price, the lot size, the bedroom, bathroom, the media we added, and pretty much that's it. If you understand the power of the WPResidence API and what it can do, think about importing the data from different websites or using your website data for other type of application like a mobile app, or like sending the data from a website to a CRM or another third-party app. If you have questions about WPResidence API and maybe you need help with the integration, feel free to drop a comment. I will gladly help you.